all for joining us today. It's going to be a great call, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Lauren so she can introduce our guest.
Well, welcome everybody to our October Women's Business Connection. We're glad all of you could make it today with us. I saw a funny meme yesterday I wanted to share with you guys, and it said, anyone else feel like Halloween is unnecessary this year? I've been wearing a mask and eating candy for 7 months now. I don't think I need a day dedicated to it anymore. So I thought that was pretty funny. My kids are like, are we still celebrating Halloween? I'm like, yeah, it's been that way for months. But I hope you guys are doing well. Our speaker this month, Jan Newton, we're so excited to have you, Jan. Jan is a personal friend of mine and an amazing lady in our community. I have an intro, but I just wanted to share a personal testimony for Jan. I met Jan back when I was exec director of Midwest Food Bank, and she gave us donations at the food bank of her Nothing Bundt Cakes, which are incredible. And if you haven't had the white chocolate raspberry cake, oh my gosh, it's to die for. But Jan also does something called Bring the Joy. And what she does is every week she chooses a charity or a place to give free bundtlets to in the community to say thank you for their service. She's donated to House of Refuge, YMCA, Friends for Life, different medical staffs, Oakwood Creative Care, and much, much more. So Jan, we appreciate all you do for the community, and I know the community appreciates you. Jan also is known locally as the Bundt Lady. She opened Nothing Bundt Cakes in Gilbert and Mesa in 2017. Her bakery has received accolades for excellence from the East Valley community, as well as the Nothing Bundt Cakes brand. She's a proud member of the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and is a recipient of the Gilbert Chamber's Leon Yulhorn Chairman's Award. Jan lives in Mesa with her husband, Mark, and their dogs, Oliver and Figgy. So Jan, thanks so much for being with us today, and take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Lauren. That was beautiful, and thank you. And I have to say, I am so delighted to be here today. I've been a member of the Women's Connection for several years now, and I can't tell you how many wonderful things I have learned from this group and interacting with this group. So to be asked to speak to you is just an honor for me, and thank you so much. You know, I could talk about bundt cakes for the entire hour, and I'm sure that would lose all of you to talk about Nothing Bundt Cakes, even though I definitely could do that. So I thought about what I was going to present to you today. And I came up with let's share. Shall we share? Let me share my screen, and we're going to do this. And here I go. I'm going to do a slideshow here. Can you see my slideshow? Is it a slideshow? No. There we go. Can you all see that? Can you all hear me?
Yes. No? Yeah, we can see it, Jan. Maybe go to play from start.
Here, let me go to, I'm going to go to view, and then I'm going to go to slideshow. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right. So I thought about gifts and talents and how we end up in the career that we are, or, you know, just looking at things in our lives where we can apply our gifts and our talents.
Get ready for tomorrow.
And I came across this quote, Daniel Burrus, and I can hear can you hear somebody talking? Okay. So I came across this quote from Daniel Burrus, and he is a futuristic motivational speaker. And he said, life is a journey. Part of that journey is not just using your talents, but trying to decide what is your gift, and then directing your talents to support your gift so that you can soar to new heights. Now, I want to ask you guys, if I ask you right now, what is the difference between a talent and a gift? Anybody? So I said to my husband yesterday, honey, what are your talents? And he said, oh, okay, well, I'm a good mathematician, I'm this, I'm that. And he said, but I don't have a gift. Can you pinpoint a gift that you have? Anybody? It's tough, and I'll tell you why it's so tough. Is because our talents our natural aptitudes or skills. They're usually hereditary. They come from mom or dad, and they can be honed with training. So you're a 4-year-old, you go to your piano, you sit down and you plunk away at the keys, and then mom and dad decide to give you lessons. And 10 years later, people are saying, wow, you have a talent for playing the piano. But a gift is a little bit different. A lot of us think of it as being spiritual, as actually given to us from a spiritual nature, or supernatural. It's immensely powerful. It can make changes in so many different ways. So here's your other example. A youngster goes in at 4 years old, they sit down at the piano and they start playing Mozart. Obviously, you're a prodigy, right? And obviously that's a gift. Now that I've defined that for you, do you have a gift? Y'all look just like you just can't figure out this gift because it's really, really hard. And I want you to think back a little bit. We're going to try and define. So as we go through this presentation, I want you to write down what talents you have and those gifts that you think that you have, okay? So first of all, I want you to ask yourself, how do others compliment you? So when they say, wow, you're really good, you're a great cook, you're wonderful at decorating, you're a great manager, you're a wonderful interviewer. Okay, so whatever others see in you, that can be a talent. What are you doing when you usually find yourself to be in the zone? You know, so you're writing something, and I love to creative write. So I can be writing, and an hour later, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on because I've been in the zone because I love to creative write, okay? So that also can determine what your talent or your gift is. What did you love doing as a child? So as a child, this sounds really kind of sad, and I don't want you to think it's sad, but after school, I would go over to the junior high school next door, and I would take a tennis ball and I would hit the tennis ball up against the wall, okay? And I could do this for a long time, and I thought I was so good. I thought, wow, I am like a great tennis player hitting that ball. But then later on, when I took tennis lessons as an adult, I sucked. Okay, so I had no talent. It was just something I enjoyed doing. But there are things you did as a child that you love doing that can be defined as your talent. And then what have you received recognition for? I know that you ladies on this call, a lot of you have received awards for different things. Those are your gifts and your talents as well. So that's going to help you kind of get a feeling for where we are here. I was listening to Sirius Radio the other day, and I heard Billy Joel, and he said when he was a teenager, he and all of his friends wanted to be famous musicians. They all had the garage bands, and they were all doing their thing. And then he decided that that was not going to be work for him. He thought, there's no way I'm going to make any money at it. So he said to his mom, Mom, I've made a decision. I am not going to be a musician. And she said, Billy, you have talent, and it's where your heart is. And he said it was just that one statement from his mom that made him believe that he could do it, that it actually cemented for him. It was not just perceived that he had talent. His mother was honest. I think, unfortunately, though, we see nowadays so many parents tell their children that they have talent, and maybe they really don't, and maybe we give them a false sense of who they are. And I think it's important to be very honest with ourselves and with others about what talents are. So when it comes to my talents, and I want you, as I tell you what I think they are, I want you to try and put them as I talk about myself and my career and my reinvention over my life, if I have used any of those things in my life that I think that I'm kind of good at. All right, so the first is I really like speaking to others. I love especially to speak to young people. And I love going out to classrooms and talking about opening your own business and how to be successful and how to do an interview. And I've always really loved that. The other thing that I like is I like performing. And those of you who know me, I'm kind of always on. I'm always kind of, there's Jan, okay, there she is. And as a kid, I love that. I love kind of being the center of attention. That was always fun for me. I think I have a strong happiness quotient. I I feel that that's part of my gift, is that I don't like others to see me if I'm not happy. And so therefore, when I walk in a room, when I walk in my bakery and I go, hello, everybody, Mama's here. And how are you? And I go up and talk to everybody, and you can kind of feel the room lift a little bit. So it's not something that I do that's phony. It's who I am. And I like to feel that back, because I get energy back from happy people. And I'm sure that you do too. But I think that probably my gift, and I've always considered, when I pray, I always ask that I'm able to use my gifts to affect other people. And my mother always used to say that I was sensitive. She'd go, you're so sensitive. I can't let you watch this movie because you're just so sensitive, and you're going to be dreaming for a year and la, 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 la. I am sensitive. And I was that kid that brought home stray dogs, stray cats, stray insects. I was the person who, when a person was sitting by themselves at a table in a lunchroom, I would go and pull up a chair and sit next to them. And part of that was because as a youngster, I was very overweight. And I was bullied. I was bullied relentlessly. And it was very difficult for me, because when I was 8 years old, my dad had a little fling with a waitress, and I'm not making this story up, this is true. Her name was Ruby, and my dad went off with Ruby, and my mother sold our home, and she decided that because her life had been kind of uprooted, she was going to try and make life the best it could be for us. So what did she do? She kept renting apartment after apartment after apartment. And we moved during my elementary school career. I attended 8 different elementary schools, and some of them I attended 2 or 3 times. Like I would go back, like she would move in March and I would have to start school in March. We would move again in September. I would go in September and start a new class. And that wasn't such a bad thing, because it taught me how to be resilient. It taught me how not to fear change. And it taught me how to deflect the way kids were treating me. When they would call me fatso and poke me and do things that made me cry when I went home, I thought there's got to be a way to do this. And I became the class clown. I would make people laugh. I would go in, I was bigger than life. And all of a sudden I thought people weren't looking at me, they were laughing with me instead of at me. So that actually was, it was an okay thing. And I learned a lot of different wonderful things that I've applied in my life from that. But what I'd like to do now is I would like to take you on a journey with me. I want to tell you a little bit about Jan, and I want you to think about, as we go here, my reinvention story and how I took those skills that I think I have and I applied them to my different jobs that I've had. And I'm going to be brief. This hopefully will not be boring. Go like this if it's boring and you want me to stop. Okay, so I started out, I was born and raised in Salt Lake City. I was grateful, I'm very grateful, because I had mentors in my life who told me that I was good at things. And the first mentor I had was my 6th grade teacher. And I love to write, as I told you, so I wrote a play. I wrote this play and I had all these characters, and her name was Glenna Webber. And oh my gosh, I love that woman. I tried to find her a few years ago, and I learned that she passed away from breast cancer because I wanted to tell her what an impact she had on my life. But I wrote this play and I gave it to her. She said, Jan, this is great. Let's put on a show. So we did. And I got the cast ready, and we had costumes, and we put it together for the elementary school. And it was wonderful, and I'll never forget that. And then when I was in high school, I had a teacher that told me I was a great writer. And so I took his advice and I became the editor of the school newspaper in high school. And then I got a scholarship degree to the University of Utah in journalism. And I went in there, all ready to become a print journalist. I was going to be a great newspaper reporter. And that's when we had the Fairness Doctrine, if y'all remember the Fairness Doctrine. And it was when journalism was not fake news, because we had to follow the Fairness Doctrine. So I was in school, and I had another professor who said to me, Jan, don't be a print journalist. Why don't you be a broadcast journalist? And I always had this feeling that I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't thin enough, I wasn't all those things to actually be on TV. So I thought, okay, I can do that, and I'll go into radio where nobody can see me. And that's what I did. I went into radio. So my first job was working overnights at a station called KSL, which is a 50,000 watt clear channel station in Utah. One of the 12 largest stations in the country. And I worked overnight. I worked from 11 o'clock at night until 6 in the morning doing news. And people could hear me from all over the world. I'd get calls from Germany and from all over the world because it was a clear channel station. And upon graduating from the University of Utah, I got a job as the morning news anchor at KSL. And that's what I started doing. And it was great. It was a wonderful job. Get off at 9 o'clock, do my thing. Well, what I didn't realize that when I did that job, I also had to have a beat. So I was the cops beat, the police beat, and also the courts beat. And what I learned from that was that my tender heart that I have had a really difficult time looking at tragedy and horrific things like serial killings and awful things. And yeah, my sensitivity, as my mom used to say, did come through. And I thought, this is not for me, I'm leaving. And so I got a job offer at the Utah Arts Council as their public information director. And so I moved there, and all of a sudden I went from death and despair to the arts and happiness and wonderfulness. And then I thought, okay, this is great, I like it, but I don't like it a lot. And I want to go back to being behind a microphone instead of in front of a microphone. So KSL hired me back. But then the best was yet to come. I got my dream job in journalism. Now, y'all remember when there was one disc jockey, right? We all remember just when one disc jockey was on the air. Then it became a team. Then there was like two guys or a guy and a woman. And so I was hired to be part of a team, and the team's name was Fisher and Todd in Salt Lake City. And it was Fisher, Todd, and Jan. And I was the news person, but I was also their foil. I was their fun. We had a great time. It was my dream job. I would go at 5 in the morning, get off at 9. Then I would do public appearances, and I would do halftime at the Utah Jazz. And I had my name on billboards, and it was awesome. And then what happened? I met a man. Yes, I met a man. I met my husband. And that's a story. You know, I will tell that story, but we can do it over a glass of wine because you won't believe that story, all right, or a cup of coffee. So I met my husband, and the problem with meeting my husband was I lived in Salt Lake, he lived in San Francisco. He was up visiting on business, and we met, and 8 months later we were married, and I sold my house. I quit my dream job, and I moved to San Francisco. So I'm thinking, okay, now what am I going to do? Am I going to start in like this huge market? What am I going to do? And instead, we decided to start a family. Well, we were unsuccessful at being able to have our own biological children. And so what we did was we adopted our little girl from Vietnam, Waverly, and it was another life event that changed me. I was a mother, and it was one of the greatest things that I had ever done. But I also felt a need to do other things. So I dabbled in other things. I became a voiceover artist. I would do voiceovers for corporations. I would do voiceovers. I did voiceovers for Fox Sports. And that was really fun, and it was very lucrative, and I could also stay home with my daughter. Then I discovered that I loved fitness. So I became a fitness instructor. I got my certification, and I taught all sorts of different fitness classes. Again, it was pretty lucrative because you get an hourly pay for that. And so that worked out very well for me as well. And then we decided to move from San Francisco to Seattle. I wanted to be near my sister, and I wanted Waverly to be around family. So we moved to Seattle. And I decided when I was in Seattle that I needed to lose about 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds. So I went to Weight Watchers. And as I'm sitting in the first Weight Watcher meeting, I'm not thinking about losing weight. I'm thinking, I've got to lose weight because I want to be a Weight Watcher leader. I want to stand in front of these people, and I want to talk to them. And that's what I did. I lost weight pretty darn quick. I became a Weight Watcher leader, and then I became a media ambassador for Weight Watchers. So I would go on television and radio, and I would do cooking shows and different things for Weight Watchers to promote Weight Watchers. So then Waverly grows up, and Waverly decides after graduating from high school, she's going to go to college at the University of Arizona in Tucson. And away she goes. And I go to a therapist, and I said, help me, my life is over. What in the hell am I going to do? And she was a woman also in life transition. She's like, I don't know. I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of wondering what I'm going to do too. So I felt like we were kind of coaching each other at that point. But I was on Facebook one day, and I had met this woman at a divorce party. And I saw on her Facebook post, she said, hi, I want to change my business. I don't like what I'm doing. Is there anyone out there who wants to hear my plan to start a new business? Call me. So I called her and I said, hi, Kat, this is Jan. She said, come on over. So I went over to her business, and what she ran it was called Tot Spot. And she had taken this industrial space, and she had put in a little kitchen, and she had seating around it. You could take your kids in, let them play in front of you on their little playthings while you sat and had coffee, an espresso, and you did your work from your laptop. So she said, I really hate this job. I don't like it. And so I'm going to go into the beer business. Do you want to go into the beer business with me? And I'm like, I really love beer. I loved craft beer. Didn't know a lot about it, but I liked to drink it. So I said, yeah, let's do this. So we ripped out everything in Tot Spot. We went out, we bought used restaurant furniture. We reupholstered it ourselves. I was, resurfacing tables and buying things from World Market. We took the budget that we had, and I bought cool pendants. And I went in and did another thing that I love to do, and that is decorating. I love to decorate, especially for the holidays. And so I went in, we did that, and we opened what we called the Collective on tap. And from day one, it was a huge success. We had 41 taps of craft beer. We had light bites. We started with a staff of 5, and pretty soon we had a staff of 20. And it was pretty remarkable, and it changed my life. It also made me realize that risk is good. We were afraid it wasn't going to work. We were a little bit leery about it, but it was like, gung-ho, let's go in there and see if we can do this. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't. And so that's what we did. Well, by this time, I had also realized that I really hated Seattle. I did not like the weather. Seattle wasn't me. And I said to my husband, who had relocated to Seattle for us, I said, honey, I'm moving to Arizona. I don't know about you, but I am out of here. And he said, okay. So he says, all right, I'll commute back and forth from Arizona to Seattle, which is what he did for years. And I came down, we bought a home in Anthem, Arizona, and we moved to Anthem. Now here I am in Anthem, and I'm saying, okay, what am I going to do now? So Mark is really hoping that I'm going to learn how to golf, and I'm just going to golf, and that's going to be my life, and I'm going to golf with him. It's going to be great. And that lasted for about 2 months. And I went to a party in Anthem, and I'm sitting at the party, and the hostess brings out a lemon Nothing Bundt cake. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I really don't like cake. And I've seen that Nothing Bundt Cake store in Scottsdale, and I think it's kind of stupid. Like, what is a bundt cake store? And who would buy a bundt cake? And so I thought, well, I'll try this bundt cake. So I ate the bundt cake, and I was obsessed. I could not stop thinking about that cake. It was so moist. It was so delicious. It was awesome. So I got in my car the next day. I drove to Scottsdale. I went into Nothing Bundt Cakes. I walked through the door, and it was like, it was all over with. I said, I have got to have one of these stores. So I ran out to the car. I called Mark in Seattle, and I said, I think I found my next business. I'm going to own a Nothing Bundt Cakes. And he's like, have you lost your mind? And no, I'm doing this. So that's what happened. And I want to show you first of all, let's go to the slide with Debbie and Dina. Debbie and Dina are the founders of Nothing Bundt Cakes. They were friends in Las Vegas. One made great frosting, the other made a great cake. They got together and they started making bundt cakes, and they started taking it all throughout Las Vegas and letting people try it. So when they opened their doors of the storefront, they were baking their cakes in their kitchen, actually in Debbie's kitchen. And they started their own little storefront. And the first week it was so busy that they literally had to lock the doors and turn off the phones because they could not fulfill the orders. So it became such a success, they decided to, as our purpose is, share the recipe for happiness and success to people who want to own a Nothing Bundt Cakes. And when I saw the values and the mission for Nothing Bundt Cakes, I knew that this was a perfect fit for me. And the first value is to have the spirit of a champion, and that is someone who wants to succeed and who will work to do it. And I find that that's part of my DNA. To have a servant's heart. So you all know what that means. I know that all of you on this call have a servant's heart, and that is to carry a cake to someone's car, to make someone. I had a gentleman come in the other day, and he had on a little sign that he'd been tested for COVID. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I hope you're okay." And he said, "Yes, but they told me I do have cancer." And I said, "Sir, that cake is on me. I'm here to make your day." And he at first said, no, but it was important for me to do that. And it was important for me to show my staff that it's okay to do things like that. And next is the ability to make genuine connections with people. And that's what we do on these calls. We get together with people, and it's like Lauren was saying, we learn that we become friends with people just because we connect with them in so many miraculous ways. And it's so important for us to do that at Nothing Bundt Cakes. And finally, we're on a mission to make the world a sweeter place. And I think that we really do that. And I'm darn proud about that. So in preparation for this event, or for this presentation today, I spent $49.99, you guys, just for you. I went on and I took the Myers-Briggs personality test. Have y'all taken that? Have y'all taken the Myers-Briggs? Okay, so it's $49.99. I took it in college. I went back and took it again the other day. It takes 30 minutes. It's really great, and at the end, it gives you all sorts of different seminars that you can take to help you in your work, your personal life, to apply your personality types. And it brings all of this up for you. It's absolutely fantastic. And I found that since I took it in college, I have changed. Maturity has made me change. Focus has made me change. My personality type did change, not drastically, but a little bit. But what mine came out as is the ESFG. And the E means I'm an extrovert. And if you know me, that it's probably true. But it says here that I am friendly, I'm outgoing, I'm reliable, conscientious, organized. If you saw my closet, that's probably not true, but otherwise my work, I'm pretty organized. Practical, that depends on the day. I seek to be helpful and please others, and I enjoy being active and productive. That's definitely true, because I do find it very difficult to relax, which is one thing that I really have to work on. So if you would like to do that, you'll see down at the bottom here, there's a link where you can go on and take the Myers-Briggs. It's fascinating. It really is. All right, now did you all write down your gifts? Did you all write those down in talents? Does anybody want to share? I know you're not going to, but someone just pipe up, share one talent that you have. Lauren?
You know what? So I would say a talent that I have is connections with people. I've always been talented at connecting with other human beings in a positive way. But I would say my gift,
Yes.
the gift that I believe God has given me is compassion, is caring, is that sort of thing. So I always find in my work and in my volunteer work that those two things always come into play. So that's what I thought of when we were talking about talents and gifts.
Awesome. Sally, what's your gift?
I knew you were going to call me out.
I knew I was, because I think all of us here know what Sally's gift is, don't you?
No, I don't.
Tell us what you think it is.
She's a comedian.
I guess my talent would be the connector piece, or maybe that's a gift. I don't know. I'll take it for both.
Okay. Anybody else want to share your gift? No, don't be shy. I think it's so important that we recognize our gifts. It really, really is so important. So I want to, once you determine those and you can really get a hold on what those are, I'm going to have a little few suggestions here. And I like to think about this for myself. What talents, ask yourself, okay, what talents am I utilizing fully in my job or my personal life? I think I do use mine, and I know that all of you on this call use yours because you're a bunch of very talented women and you're good at what you do. So you're already doing that, but really, really focus on the talents that maybe are being ignored, or maybe you need a little more focus, or maybe you need to be nurtured a little bit more. Do you rave about your job? When everybody says to me, do you like being a bunt boss? I go, yes, I love it. I love being a bunt boss. But I can think of jobs I did not rave about, okay? That and I kind of skipped over those because I've had more jobs, but I can say that I've had jobs I truly did not like, but you need to be able to rave about your job. Can you see yourself doing this 5 years from now? I was offered by Nothing Bundt Cakes to open 2 new stores in California. And I know y'all are like rolling your eyes going like, has she lost her mind? Why would she do that? But when I looked down the road and things kind of fell into place, I thought, can I see myself doing this in 5 years? Hell yeah, I can. 10 years, not so sure. I might be on a cruise with my husband somewhere, but 5 years, I can see this. Does your job energize or drain you? So my first year of being a Nothing Bundt Cakes, I was driving from Gilbert to Anthem every day. Some days it took me 2 hours to get home on the freeway, and I was working long, arduous, grueling hours. And I would get home and I would walk through the door and my husband would go, honey, you look terrible. And I knew that meant I looked exhausted, and I would throw myself down on the couch. But you know what? There wasn't one moment of that exhaustion where I did not love what I do. It was basically get some sleep, eat a good meal, drink a glass of wine, get up and do it again. And that's what I did. Do you use at least one of your talents daily? And, I think it's important, again, we write down all sorts of things about ourselves, affirmations and everything else, but don't lose sight of those talents and try to use at least one, if not on the job, in your life, in your personal life. Am I using my talents and gifts to make a difference? That goes without saying on this call. All of you on this call make a difference in what you do, and I know that you're using those talents. But again, don't push away a talent that maybe isn't in the forefront right now that can really make a difference to others. Do I radiate joy? Joy is a big word for me, not because it's just our brand slogan, and I don't want to say slogan, it's our value, it's our brand value. But we all need to radiate joy. And it's like I tell the young people who come in and apply for a job with me, attitude is number one for me, because if you don't feel joy, no one's going to feel joy. They're not going to feel joy, and you're not going to feel joy. You got to have that joy, and you got to radiate it whenever you can. Am I giving back to others? This is something I enjoy doing, and I know you all do this on this call. Again, I was watching when Sally was given the honor from La Paz de Cristo, and the young woman who was the speaker said how important it is to just give someone a leg up when you can. It's so important. And I did that this week with one of my staff members, and she cried and said, I just appreciate it so much, just that someone has listened to me and is giving me a chance. And it's really, really important. So give back your wisdom. You're all so intelligent and full of wisdom and wonderful things. Give back some of that wisdom, because it's such a wonderful feeling and so fulfilling. Are you taking the time to nurture your interests and your talents in your personal life? We all live to work, but there are other things we need to do too. I love creative writing, but I never do it. I never sit down and write a story, even just for my own fulfillment. I just don't. I don't have time. Whatever. I see that Bob does that. I know that Bob Nelson is a writer, and I think it's really important that you nurture those talents and you take the time. How about owning your own franchise, ladies? How about creating your own business? I've done both. There are pros and cons to both. Creating my own business was great. It was wonderful. Did it take a lot of work? Yeah. Owning a franchise, does it take a lot of work? Yeah. Both very different, but I tell people young people that I meet today, consider buying a franchise early. I wish I had done this 25 years ago. And I wish I had 40 of them right now instead of 3. Okay. So it's not for everybody. You have to be able to take direction. But young people in my life, I tell them to do it. Consider buying a franchise. And even if you're 60, you're 70, you want to buy a franchise, go for it. Go for it. Create, no matter how you need to do it. Do others know the real you? When I was leaving KISS in 97, one of my on-air guys came up to me and he said, Jan, I want to give you a little bit of advice before you go marry Mark Newton and you move out of state. I said, what is that? And he said, don't ever forget who Jan is. Who is Jan? And it's the wild, crazy, off the cuff, often too honest Jan that comes out quite a bit. I might offend people, I might whatever, but it's who I am. And if people don't like me for what I am, then I guess they're not destined to be in my life and I'm not destined to be in theirs. So be who you are. And how do you want to be remembered? Some of you are young and you're not thinking about this now, but it's important that you do. It's important that you think about how your success is going to flow back in to others. Here's my legacy. My legacy there is my beautiful daughter, Waverly. Waverly graduated from the University of Arizona with a business degree. She went on to work for Kendra Scott in marketing in San Francisco. And I finally convinced her to join me as a Nothing Bundt Cakes owner. So she is running our 2 stores in California. She's amazing. And that girl is, I love her so much. And I know she's going to take this brand very, very far. The other is a gentleman you'll see in the middle, Mr. Sean Strunk. Sean has been with me since day one in Gilbert. When I hired him out of the U of A, he said, I'll give you 2 years. Well, now, guess what? Sean's not going anywhere because Sean is now my business partner. I have given him equity in the company and he will continue with Nothing Bundt Cakes in Arizona. So when I'm on my cruise with my husband in 10 years, you're going to see Sean. He's going to be the Bundt boss. He's going to be the Bundt man, and he already is the Bundt man. He's great. The other young lady that you see in the picture is Kristen Hoppy, and we got her from Tucson as well. She's fantastic, and I see great things for Kristen within our brand and with Nothing Bundt Cakes. So I've done a lot of things. I've only been open for 3 years in Gilbert, but Nothing Bundt Cakes. When I told the founder, Dina Tripp, when I saw her, I said, Dina, you've changed my life. And she was kind of taken aback. And I said, you literally have changed my life. I have been able to accomplish some wonderful things with Nothing Bundt Cakes. And I just want to, as we're closing here, just to kind of share some of the things that I'm very, very proud of. Lauren mentioned our Bring the Joy recognitions. We try and make days a little bit sweeter for people. So you'll see the photo here of the Tuba City Medical Center that is on the Navajo Nation up near Flagstaff. And they called us and said, we need 1,000 buntlets for our staff. Is there any way you can pull this together for us? So all of the Nothing Bundt Cakes in the state of Arizona got together, and this young man came down and he took 1,000 bundt cakes back in that car back to Tuba City. And it was one of the highlights of my year. COVID, forget COVID. COVID ain't got nothing when you see something like that. People. The other is Page Common Senior Housing. We provided all of their residents with a bundt cake during the height of COVID because they were all stuck in their homes. And it was just, it was so remarkable. And then what they did is they presented us with this little whatever you call it, board that saying thank you to us. And now when one of them has a birthday at Page Commons, we give them a birthday cake. Every resident gets a birthday cake at Page Commons, which is a low-income senior facility. So it's things like that Nothing Bundt Cakes. Couldn't deliver beer when I was a beer person because it was illegal to give beer out, but I can give Bundt cake, I'll tell you what. When I went to our first Nothing Bundt Cakes conference with Sean and my husband, we all get together every year, and over 1,000 people get together from Nothing Bundt Cakes. And I looked at Sean and I said, Sean, I have 2 goals. Number 1, I'm going to make $1 million in sales. And number 2, we're going to get Bakery of the Year. And we did. We got Bakery of the Year not only once, we got it twice. And no other bakery has done that. So we got Bakery of the Year in 2019 and 2020. In 2019, my name alone was on there. And in 2020, I was so proud to see that Sean's name was listed as one of our owners, of our Bundt Cake owners. This year, I was also awarded, there are currently 28,000 franchisees throughout the country. Franchise Business Review went out to 300 different brands, and they came up with 81 recipients for the Franchise Rockstar Award. And I was awarded this award for being a Franchise Rockstar in the women's category. And that was kind of amazing and hard to believe, and I'm still pinching myself about that too. And for the third consecutive year, I was just notified by the East Valley Tribune that we have been voted best of the best dessert and bakery in the East Valley. And we're so happy about that. And my staff, I want you to know that it isn't just me, it isn't just Sean, it is our staff, those bakers, those frosters, those guest service workers who wait on you. They are so just honored that we receive any kind of accolades, because without them, we would be nothing. I don't know how to bake, by the way. I could bake a cake if I had to, but I'm not a baker. That is not my strength. That's not my talent. But I do have people who are extremely talented. So in closing, Nothing Bundt Cakes receives 3,000 to 4,000 inquiries about owning a franchise a year. They award franchises to basically 30 to 40 people every year. And the vetting process is very, very, very arduous. Every week I would have to take a personality test, and my husband had to do it too. So we'd take a personality test. We would have a phone call with a support team member, because they want to make sure that it's the right decision, not only for us, but for them as well. And so when the personality types came back, mine was, I was closest to Walt Disney, and my husband was closest to Thomas Edison, which shows you how completely polar opposite we are. Okay, I'm creative. He's this, this logical guy, but it works. He does the books and everything is great, but that was fantastic. And then what happens is, once they decide you're going to get a Nothing Bundt Cakes, they fly you back to Dallas, and you go into their boardroom and you meet with their team. And the first question that they asked me was, Jan, why do you want to own a Nothing Bundt Cakes? Sat there, I looked at them all, and I said, because it's me. That's it. This brand is me. Everything about it is who I am. And this is why I enjoy it so much. So my hopes for all of you is that you are able to say in your own professional life that your job is you. And as we say at Nothing Bundt Cakes, continue everybody, all you ladies and gentlemen out there, to bring the joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jan. What a great presentation. I did not know a lot about you. Very, very interesting. I did not know you were a radio talk show host. So we'll have to do a one-on-one and get some wine and do happy hour sometime. I want to hear more about it.
I would love that.
Yes. Do any ladies have any questions for Jan?
Jen, you need to look at the chat room. There's all kinds of comments. Yeah. And honestly, like, this is, if you're not motivated to do something great, like You should be. And if you're not happy doing what you're doing, I think Jan just told you all, like, find something else that makes you happy, right? This makes me happy to hear everything that you've done and everything you've achieved. It's awesome. There's a lot of great comments though in the chat room. Does anybody have questions?
I have
Actually, oh, go ahead.
to me, Hannah. Not a question, but just Jan, I so admire how you talk about your team. I think that's a true testament. That's how I measure true leaders, is how they talk about their team. And I just really appreciate how you talk about your employees and how you talk about, Sean. I think that is just natural empowerment that comes from you. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you. And I think, I hate to get all warm and fuzzy here, but I thank God for my team every day. And I just, yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I know you all do too. And it's important for them to hear back from you and to have that contact every day, every single time you go and see them, and just get to know them. And it's super important. Thank you so much.
And I actually wanted to say something as well. I've been listening this entire time, but I am doing deliveries currently, so I haven't been able to be face to face. But just as I'm her assistant manager, my name is Kristen, and I love that you spoke of gifts and talents, and one of my gifts that I'm realizing is my emotion, because I get so emotional, but that is a strength, and you've got to, so it was something I wanted to share earlier when you were talking about it. Was during a delivery, I dropped off a cake, and it's this older couple, their house is in walking distance to the golf course, and I'm holding this cake, and I look at him, and I look at the cake. I said, this cake says 90. And he's pointing to himself. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, there's no way, it's the interaction. He was just so happy and elated to get this beautiful cake. And we just exchanged a beautiful, conversation. And it's very rewarding. And it's so amazing to have a boss like her that just, puts her heart into everything, and does take care of her employees. Don't cry, because I'll cry too. But you're just an amazing person. And I admire you so much. And I'm honored to be a part of this call and get to know you a little bit more, because there's so much I didn't know about you. And yeah, thank you.
I love you, dear girl. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
Okay, just a little poll here. How many people have had Nothing Bundt Cakes? Becky and Kristen. What are you waiting for? Do you not like cake? I think it's time somehow you
I will change that.
Yeah.
I will change that quickly.
Seriously, it's so good. Jan, what's you have a different flavor all the time. So do you have a seasonal right now?
Our seasonal, of course, is pumpkin spice. And it's delicious. And I like to put our pumpkin spice, I like a buntlet to put in the oven for about 5 to 10 seconds, so all the buttercream cheese frosting melts. And then for Christmas, we are doing our peppermint chocolate chip, which is wonderful.
Ooh. Yum.
Yum.
Awesome. Any other questions? Anything for Jan? Jan, thanks so much. Appreciate you being on this call and all you do for the community. My goodness. You were out doing really great things before, but then COVID hit, and it was like you set everything else aside and you decided that you were going to go spread the joy. I think I saw more posts about Jan delivering bundt cakes than pretty much anything else over the last few months. It's been great. All right. Lauren, anything else you have?
Well, I just kind of want to wrap it up with a few announcements. So we have, for the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, we've got the virtual nonprofit Vitality Council meeting, which is today from 4 to 5 p.m. So we'd love for you guys to RSVP and join that call. We've got the Good News Girlfriend Club this Friday from 3 to 4. If you guys haven't been on that call, that's kind of a subcommittee of this group. It is an excellent group to be a part of. We share what our great experiences were for the week. It's just a super positive call to end your week on a Friday. We've got the virtual aging and healthcare committee meeting Thursday, November 5th from 8 to 9. If you're interested in learning more about the Mesa Cares Technology Assistance Program, go to the Mesa Chamber of Commerce website for more information. And also, I just wanted to do a plug. There is a grant available on the AZ Community Foundation for small businesses and nonprofits for up to $25,000 that you guys can apply for. And the last day to apply is this Friday, I believe. Is that correct, Sally? It's
It
this Friday.
sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So if you guys have any questions, comments on that, I can help you out, or Sally, or whoever from the town. So that's all I have, Sally. Thank you so much, you guys. Jan, always so good to see you.
One quick thing, all of you probably know, or most of you probably know our friend Victoria. Victoria leads our Good News Girlfriends Club, and she fell a few days ago and broke her wrist. If anybody wants to send a card, if you could just send it to the chamber, and then I'll take all of the cards over to her at the same time. I'll probably try and do that by the weekend maybe, or early next week. So just think about, sending her some good vibes, because she's probably going to end up with surgery. Yeah.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Drop mine off.
All right.
Awesome. All right, you guys.
Gian. We love you. Thanks, everybody.
Back at you, ladies. Go get them. Bye.
Bye-bye.